Wow, what a powerful story. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you to all of our moms and alumni are here. This is why we exist. And what you saw, that's real, that's raw. That's what life is like. And for many women like Sarah, when they walk into Ruth Harbor, this is what's coming with them. And so I want to underscore something she said right at the end there. Without you, I don't know where I would be. And she's talking about the staff at Ruth Harbor, but she's also talking about all of you, because it's your generosity that makes Ruth Harbor possible. And so together we are actually offering something that many moms like Sarah have never had. You heard her say that this is the first home. It's not just an institution, but it's a home. She described a life coach that's so committed to her that she was willing to give up her job in order to help her when she was in her need. You heard about probation officers who were there and were able to refer her to Ruth Harbor. And so each one of these is a part in working together to accomplish what we do. Tonight's theme is anchored, and I wanted to just kind of tell you a little bit about where Ruth Harbor has been in 2025 and where we're heading. When we opened our doors in 2001, one of our first board members and a longtime board member, Doug Smalley, said, if we can help just one child, it's worth it all. Well, you just saw one child, little Caden. And since the doors opened in 2001, there have been many Cadens. In fact, Caden is one of our younger Ruth Harbor babies right now, but our oldest is a graduate student at the University of Iowa. So within that spectrum of from Caden to our oldest Ruth Harbor baby, there have been many, many lives that have been impacted by Ruth Harbor and by you over the years. But to God's glory, these women do not have to walk alone. And that's what Ruth Harbor is about. Our mission is to walk alongside women in their most vulnerable season and help them discover hope, freedom, and stability in Christ. Our vision is to see women and children living safe, whole, and flourishing lives, anchored in faith, anchored in hope, and anchored in Jesus. So what have we been up to this past year in 2025? Well, to start, we redesigned our program. We call it the Pathway Program, and it helps women break the cycles of poverty, and it helps them to see themselves not as a forgotten person, but someone who is so essential to God that He created them in His image. And so with the Pathway Program, we've also been able to offer something that has been badly needed. A year ago, we asked you to share generously, and one of our goals was to be able to provide counseling for every resident at Ruth Harbor. And this year, we accomplished that. Each resident who came into our home first had an interview with a counselor before she even arrived, and then as soon as she arrived, week one, we were able to begin counseling. Let me tell you something, this has been game changer for our moms. And so thank you for stepping out and allowing us to begin offering this to our moms. We've extended our life skills opportunities, including parenting, nutrition, job preparation, financial coaching, all through trusted community partners, helping moms gain confidence as a parent and as a family provider. This requires new skills. So a good example is our partnership with Truth Chiropractic, who came in and they helped moms plan and prepare nutritious meals. And as part of that process, they also planned a trip to a local grocery store where they were able to shop for the foods that were on their list and do it within the budget that they were allowed. We've also expanded our family care. So thanks to Sarah and Amanda, who work so diligently with our moms, we've been able to provide something that is so essential to the moms after they leave Ruth Harbor, and that is family. One thing we've done this year is we've actually added into our family care program the opportunity to assist moms financially when they hit a rough patch, and we all do. But oftentimes these things will be devastating to a mom that doesn't have a safety net. So for example, we had a mom that was in between jobs, had been unable to pay rent and was facing eviction. And by providing some emergency assistance to her, we were able to help her build a bridge over that potential crisis and avoid homelessness. And what could have been a life-changing back into the ditch experience ended up becoming an opportunity where God was able to show himself and show his providential care. Just in the last couple weeks, as the government shutdown has loomed and now taken effect with SNAP, this impacts all of our moms. And for many of them, this is a time for a lot of fear and questioning. So we were able to store up some extra food and supplies and let them know that it's going to be okay, because we are here to help support them through the crisis. And that's something that families do, isn't it? It's like we support one another through a crisis. The other thing that we have done this year is we've offered opportunities through partners like Gloria Day Lutheran Church, who've offered events that have helped build relationships with a lot of our moms and our alumni. And again, they provide something that is so valuable. They provide relationship. They can be the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents and the cousins that a lot of times our moms don't have. And so it's a beautiful opportunity for the church to step into a role where they're able to be something that is so essential that we oftentimes take for granted. Another key area that we worked on this year was investing in our staff and making sure that they are trained and equipped in areas that are so important. So a lot of our moms come in with trauma in their background, and they have difficult childhood experiences. So we have worked this year attending conferences and workshops to try and better equip our staff to be trauma informed and to provide good care. You heard, for example, in Sarah's story, the illustration of her life coach, Beth, who, when Sarah reached a difficult patch, she was able to step in and offer, in her case, to give up her job so she could help care for little Caden if need be. Didn't come to pass, but just that simple act demonstrates something that is so essential, and that is relationships that are willing to invest in more than just the immediate need, but a long-term investment. So anytime we invest in our staff, that's a win for Ruth Harbor and for our long-term stability. This is not a program. This is not a service. This is what the Church of Jesus Christ is called to do. This is the church being called into relationship, and that's what we have been given the privilege to do. You heard in the video how Sarah was referred to Ruth Harbor through her probation officer. That's something we've worked intentional this year to develop relationships with probation officers and with Department of Corrections caseworkers, so that when they have women who can benefit from the ministry and services that Ruth Harbor provides, we're able to be on their list. We've had probation officers from Fresh Start for Women's Center come in. We've had representatives from the Department of Corrections. We've participated in various events and activities with the Department of Corrections to get to know this community better and how we can better serve them. And this is something that God tells us not to forget those who are in jails and prisons. So we take this very intentionally. But I think it's a beautiful opportunity, again, for the church to minister to a lot of women who are in very difficult situations and often have nowhere else to turn. This year, one of the things that I'm most pleased with is that we have started equipping and training some of our alumni to pour back into residents. There's nothing more powerful than for someone who has been through really difficult times to be able to reach out and encourage someone who is in that spot where they were at. And to be able to say, I was where you were at, and I have been able, through the help of Ruth Harbor and God's help, to move forward. And they show determination to do the thing that is so needed, and that is just a willingness to keep going. Progress over perfection. And that is one of the things that we're so proud of. So tonight, as we look at 2026, I want to tell you about where we really believe God has underlined for us the things that we need to focus on. And I'm calling these 3 bridges to stability. And these are things that every one of our moms deal with. In fact, every single mom has to struggle with these things. The first bridge is childcare. And not just childcare, but childcare that is available when single moms need them. Most of the moms who work with Ruth Harbor, who graduate from Ruth Harbor, a lot of single moms, they're going to go into retail, service, healthcare. These are not 9-to-5 jobs. And typically, child care centers close at 6 o'clock. And so they need help beyond what the traditional hours are available. And this is an area that we really feel like would be a game changer for a lot of our moms if we could figure it out. It's a huge task. So how do we start? We start small. For example, this past year when Sarah was just starting out at her job and little Caden got sick, that could have been something that would have derailed her employment. But we put out a call to a church partner and they were able to step up and help provide childcare for that week that he was sick so she wouldn't have to miss work. This is something, and I know we have a lot of partners in this room here, that this is something we can do together. This is something that if we could figure out how to do childcare in a way that is supportive and helpful to single moms, it would be an incredibly powerful, life-changing opportunity for them. So bridge number 1 is childcare. Bridge number 2 is reliable transportation. We're able oftentimes to get cars donated. And when we do, we like to pass them on. But guess what? They're not new cars. And guess what comes with old cars? Problems. Keeping old cars running can be a challenge. And again, it's wonderful if you're a single mom and you're able to get a car. But when that car starts to break down, who do you turn to? And oftentimes, our single moms and the moms that with Ruth Harbor, they are easy targets for someone who wants to take advantage of them. So we're looking to develop a network of trusted people who can work on cars and help single moms to keep their transportation going so that they don't have to spend hours in buses waiting and carrying a small child with them, which is physically and emotionally draining. So bridge number 1 is childcare. Bridge number 2 is transportation. And bridge number 3 is a livable income. And this is something that, again, is not an easy fix. There are organizations that work with women and men for job training, but a lot of times they can't work with single moms because they don't have the child care option. So we need to be able to provide simple fixes to complex problems that will help bridge these gaps. And one of these is providing job training skills and opportunities to learn and understand what it means to be a reliable employee so that as our moms grow, they can grow into positions that will provide a better income. It's a delicate balance between the income they earn and the assistance they provide, and so it takes a lot of help to navigate that and to learn how to do that. So these 3 bridges, transportation, childcare, and a livable income, form a foundation of a stable home. And they give our moms something they have never had before, and that is hope for the future. This is what we're calling the circle of hope. And it is the church seeing the need around them and making a determined effort to not just help, but to build bridges over barriers that keep families in isolation, brokenness, and cycles of poverty. Through your generosity and partnership, we can build a circle of hope that is an anchor for the moms of Ruth Harbor and prayerfully for our community. Moms anchored not just for weeks or months, but for a generation in community, discipleship, and family support. Imagine children growing up with stability, faith, and a new legacy in a community that doesn't just help women survive their crisis, but walks with them until they stand strong, confident, independent, and anchored in Christ. At Ruth Harbor, we believe in new beginnings because our God makes all things new. Every counseling session, every parenting class, every safe night of sleep, every job interview, each one of these is a step towards a transformed life, and each one anchors this mom from drifting back into a crisis. Sarah ended her story with these words, "I don't know where I'd be without you." She wasn't talking about a building. She was not talking about a program. She was talking about you. Your prayers, your partnership, your sacrificial generosity that says to women like Sarah, you're not alone, you're not forgotten, and you matter to God and you matter to us. Tonight, we're all part of this story. You have the opportunity to become an anchor point for a mom who desperately needs solid ground. Let's help many more young women become anchored in faith, anchored in hope, anchored in love, and anchored in Jesus.